The individuals that will impact the outcome of Super Bowl 58, 10 days away in Las Vegas. Joe Raineri is having a great time here on this Thursday morning on the early line. You might see Joe next week on the early line as well, but we'll save that for a later date. I am Ben. Donnie is on the right side, and Joe is here for a second consecutive segment. So now it's the prop perspective. And, Joe, a lot of people look at Super Bowl Sunday, and they see all the props. The coin toss, the Gatorade color for that bath at the end of the game. Longest touchdown scored. Shortest touchdown scored. Will the opening kickoff be a touchback? There are so many different things to bet come Super Bowl Sunday. You often forget how you bet throughout a regular season and even throughout the playoffs, focusing on the actual players that will impact the game outcome. We do that here on this Thursday on the early line. And, of course, we start with the quarterback comparison. Patrick Mahomes has the higher of the two passing props, available right now at 262.5, just about 17 yards in front of Brock Purdy, 245 and a hook for Brock. Joe, what do you want to see out of the quarterback play Super Bowl Sunday in Las Vegas? Purdy on one side for San Francisco. Mahomes, a two-time Super Bowl champion, on the other.
Yeah, I mean, listen, experience, and this is the big problem with this. It was a problem last week, right? How do we quantify experience? How do we quantify guys that have been there and done this? And how do we quantify a guy like Patrick Mahomes, much like we had a problem doing it with Tom Brady and company for all those years? They get to this particular spot. They know how to win these games late. And, listen, Brock Purdy wasn't there in 2019, right? He was still at Iowa State. Shanahan has been there. He's never been able to get over the hump in any way, shape, or form when he's been in the Super Bowl on a staff. So this is interesting. The quantifying of the experience factor in the fourth quarter when the game is on a line. And listen, the market is telling you, right? This is a pick 'em game, guys. So which quarterback do you trust late to get it done? And Brock Purdy, by the way, literally has won the last couple of games for his team when nobody thought he could do it. He did it with his legs. He did it with his arm. I mean, huge comeback. All the odds against him. I'm not running to the window to bet against Purdy, but I would find it hard to believe that if given the opportunity, game on the line, kind of hard not to be looking to back Patrick Mahomes, at least live at some point in this game if they are within one score and trailing.
Let's take a look at Travis Kelce props in the Super Bowl. He has been wonderful here in the playoffs, to say the least. But this is a guy that in the regular season, midway through October, scored a touchdown and didn't score another one throughout the regular season. Heading down the stretch, Joe, his final three games, 5 catches for 28 yards, 5 catches for 44 yards, 3 catches for 16 yards. Then the playoffs hit. 7 catches for 71 against Miami. Then he has 5 for 75 and 2 scores against the Buffalo Bills. Against Baltimore, 11 catches on 11 targets, 116 yards, and 1 touchdown catch there. So if we try to take a look at the props market here for the Super Bowl, he's listed at the FanDuel Sportsbook at 70.5 receiving yards. Big-time player in a big-time game. Could he get your money, and do you think he's going over that 70.5 receptions prop here?
Listen, it's you said it there, Donnie. Great players show up at the biggest moments and perform. It's exactly what Kelce and Mahomes have been doing here, right? Where people are still trying to scratch their heads on figuring out how he ended up dominating the Baltimore Ravens defense the way he did. They had absolutely no answer for stopping Kelce there. And he averaged about 65, 66, I believe, receiving yards during the regular season. So expecting him on the biggest stage to get 5 more, you almost feel like it has to be on your card because you don't want to happen what happened last week where you're like, no, he's lost a step and Taylor Swift's there. And all, don't bet against the guys that have shown you on the biggest. Nobody cares what he did in week 6. Nobody cares what he did in week 9. What matters on the biggest stage at the biggest moments is, can you rely on Travis Kelce? And the answer is absolutely yes. He's got to be on the card somewhere here, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely so. Travis Kelce in the previous 3 Super Bowl trips for Kansas City has caught a touchdown in 2 of the 3, including both of the victories. He did have 133 yards, 10 grabs, 15 targets back in Super Bowl 55 when they came up well short against Tampa Bay. But in the 2 Super Bowl wins for Kansas City, a touchdown for Travis Kelce. On the other side, the lead playmaker offensively for San Francisco is Christian McCaffrey. Not fully healthy. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Week 17 against the Commanders, that's when the calf injury first flared up for CMC. But outside of that, including both games in the postseason, dating back to October 23rd, Christian McCaffrey has had at least 100 scrimmage yards in every single game. And you see what the odds expect out of McCaffrey on Super Bowl Sunday. His first Super Bowl appearance as an individual as well. 90.5 on the ground, 34.5 through the air. Joe, how good does Christian McCaffrey have to be against KC's vaunted defense for San Francisco to end up with a Lombardi trophy?
He's got to be great. I mean, both sides and both teams have to have guys that they can rely on. And I mean, give the guy's a warrior, man. I would not bet against him. Neck, leg issues, it doesn't make a difference. He is going to be out there. Couple of weeks to heal up here. I am expecting full on 100%, everything he's got, leave it out on the field, McCaffrey. And that goes across the board. I think not just rushing the ball. I wouldn't at all dismiss the idea that a lot of safe throws for a guy like Brock Purdy, who lacks the experience in this game. Maybe a whole lot of screen passes to McCaffrey, some easy tosses out there. Instead of trying to make the mistake down the field, he checks it down to McCaffrey a lot. So I think there's a lot of different ways that you got to look at McCaffrey in this game. The bottom line is he will not be a decoy of any way, shape, or form in this one. He is going to be the guy that takes this 49ers offense over the top, especially inside the red zone.
So many times we take a look at this football game, right, and we're trying to factor on what are we going to get out of Brock Purdy, what are we going to get out of, obviously, Patrick Mahomes. But the 2 running backs in this game might be the true 2 superstars and the pathway to victory, because we know how good CMC is, of course, but Isiah Pacheco has been an absolute workhorse for Kansas City this entire season. He's actually scored touchdowns in 6 of his past 7 games, which includes all 3 playoff games, at least finding pay dirt once. 24 carries against Baltimore, 24 carries against the Miami Dolphins, approaching Isiah Pacheco props, Joe. How do you look at this?
Yeah, he is the key to this offense, and he has been since December. The minute that Andy Reid realized, all right, we can't keep doing this here, guys. We can't keep going scoreless in the second half. We can't keep pretending like Tyreek Hill is here and we're going to be this high-flying offense of the past. We've got to stay on the field. We've got to not turn the ball over, and they have done an amazing job of that over the last month here, guys. No interceptions. They're not fumbling the ball. And a lot of that is because, you know what they're doing? They're getting 3-4 yards on first down with Pacheco. They're getting 3rd and short, and they're moving the chains. And a big reason to that is because of balance. It's not all Mahomes. It's not him chucking it to Kelce. Everything is set up now with this team, with Pacheco and the running game. They have run more over the last month than they have over the last 3 years together here, and it shows. And they're gonna win a lot of games continuing with this style by scoring 23, 24, 27 points. There won't be 35-point Kansas City games anymore because that's not who they are. They don't have the same horses, but what they do have is they've got a running back here that they can rely upon, and it's going to be up to that defensive front, who, by the way, hasn't done a great job for the 49ers last couple of games here. If they let Pacheco dominate that line of scrimmage, it's going to be a long day for the 49ers.
67.5 the rushing yards prop, as you saw, for Pacheco. 89.5 the combo prop, rushing plus receiving. Joe is very spot on. Phil Simms was on the show earlier this week, Joe, and made that point as well. As he has been watching film, he was getting ready for the AFC Championship game on Sunday in Baltimore. He noticed the Chiefs earlier in the year, still trying to be that explosive offense of the previous 5 seasons under Mahomes. but they just don't have the talent on the outside to expand the field as they had in years past. And that's when they were stumbling for the most part and coming up short. Then they realized, hey, our defense leads the way. We can be really good on the ground. We can beat you with the talent we have in those 24 or 21 ball games, and that's what they have done. Isiah Pacheco, 89.5, again, that combo prop. Outside of the weird game on Christmas against the Raiders, he has had at least 88 yards from the line of scrimmage in 5 straight games for Kansas City, at least 76 scrimmage yards in every playoff game. All 6 now he has played as a member of the Chiefs in the last 2 seasons. It's a great look, and it might be where the offense is actually incorporated for Kansas City. Joe, as we look at the Super Bowl MVP odds then, might it make sense to bet Isiah Pacheco at 35-1? You see Christian McCaffrey, the only other guy outside of the quarterbacks that has a 5-1 number, actually anything shorter than 17-1. That's where we find Travis Kelce with the 4th best price. Joe, when you look at the Super Bowl 58 MVP odds right now, what is your best bet?
Kind of hard not to look at, again, correlate it here, guys. I do think that Mahomes is obviously a favorite for a reason, although I do think for Mahomes to be successful, Pacheco's got to be successful. So that's a interesting number there at 35-1. And if I'm... Is Purdy going to get enough love regardless here if they win? I mean, outside of and I don't think he's going to have some sort of 350-yard passing day here and just light up this Chiefs defense. But I think it's correlated with him and McCaffrey, too. If McCaffrey has a big day, he's going to make Purdy look real good. If Pacheco has a really good day, he's going to make Mahomes look good. It's still a quarterback award unless something crazy happens in this game. So depending on who you think wins, that's that quarterback is in all likelihood your MVP. And what a story would be for Purdy, by the way, to stick it to everybody, Mr. Irrelevant, to actually win the Super Bowl and win the MVP. It's a hell of a storyline for the NFL, that's for sure.
By the way, let me ask you this question, too. Records, we always like them to fall. 3 bets here at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Do any one of these come in for you? 205-plus rushing yards in a game, 37-1. 506 passing yards, 280-1. And 216 receiving yards or more, 30-1. Do we get any record breakers here?
I don't think so. I think it's dink and dunk down the field on both sides. I think both teams are going to try the defenses to get off the field. They're going to try to keep the offenses on the sideline. I don't think that happens if you get those kinds of offensive numbers and then the total comes into play. I'm not convinced the over is the way to look here. I think the defense is maybe the best unit out there on the Kansas City Chiefs side. So, going to be interesting.
Raineri, we appreciate the time greatly here on this Thursday on the early line. We will talk very, very soon. The handicaps from that early perspective for Super Bowl 58. Joe, as always, thank you. We round out this second hour of bets.